Hey, what's up, Closer Nation? I got something that I want to talk to you about. You're probably not going to like. It's going to make a lot of you upset, but it's important. And the point of this is not to make you upset. It's not to piss you off at me or to think I have some sort of privilege or anything else. It's to be real with you, all right? And oftentimes when you got to get real with someone, especially if you're a passionate guy like me, the intensity behind that passion makes you think that I'm screaming at you or yelling at you, but I assure you that's not my intention behind this video. I want to educate you and rewire your thinking when it comes to a very specific topic, and that topic is credit. Now, before we get going, I don't own a credit repair business. I don't have an association or affiliate link with credit repair. I've got some people I can refer you to for credit repair that will take great care of you, but I want to be very specific in this. You know, for the last 2 months, I have been doing personal loans. Well, I've been doing loans for 15 years, but for the last 2 months, I've been doing personal loans and SBA loans and lines of credit and cash advances to business owners who need them. The problem is about 90% of business owners haven't qualified for free government money. So let's talk about the CARES Act with the government they just passed, right? The SBA, the Small Business Administration, they said they will give you payroll up to 4 months, and they will give you a 30-year, which is typically 10-year EIDL disaster relief loan. So I have people coming to me in droves saying, hey, I want to get this money from the government. I want to get this cheap money, this free money from the government. And a lot of them don't have good credit. And while there's been plenty that have had good credit, and to me, good credit is 620 is okay credit, 680 is decent credit, 720 is good credit, and 740 or above is excellent credit, okay? That's not just my guidelines, that's the banking guidelines in general. Well, here's the problem with bad credit, all right? First of all, the economy's been great for like 6 to 8 years now. So if you've chosen, while the economy is better than it's ever been in history, to not pay your bills, what does that really say about you? Because credit is the reason why we don't just go on people's word, right? I'll pay you back. Okay. See, back in the day, when you told someone you'd pay them back and then you didn't pay them back, you know what happened? Yeah, you were challenged to a fucking duel. They would shoot you in the middle of the street at high noon if you didn't fucking pay them. So that didn't obviously work because we're not savages anymore. So we had to readjust how we do this, and we came up with something called the Fair Isaac Corporation scoring model, right? And now there's a few other different type of credit models, but FICO is typically what people go by. And so what people were saying, you know, I'll pay you back, they didn't pay you back, and they're dying in droves because a lot of people just, their word isn't good. We had to squash that model. Eventually we came up with the credit rating model, okay? FICO, Fair Isaac Corporation, okay? So the thing is though, with credit is based on your word. If a bank or a car dealership or a credit card company, if they gave you money and they were nice enough, now think about it, you might think of the banks as this evil thing, but if they were nice enough to give you money, don't you think you should be nice enough to keep your word and pay it back to them? Now look, I get it, we all fall on hard times. I'm a guy that went to prison, okay? I went to prison, I walked into prison with a 720 credit score, and I walked out of prison with a 730 credit score. So how did I do that? Because despite the hindrances in my life, I could have said, forget my truck payment, forget my house payment, forget all this stuff, I don't care about it, I'm going to prison, it's the end of the world. I still wanted to keep my word good with the people that were nice enough to loan me money when I was free. So I worked really hard for years and saved money, and before I went into prison, I paid everything off. Now, here's why most people never do that. Because a lot of y'all live way beyond your means. Right? Like I see these guys that are buying Lamborghinis in their 20s. What the fuck do you need a Lamborghini in your 20s? First of all, if you can't get laid in your 20s, you need to fucking rethink your scenario. Second of all, you don't need a Lamborghini in your 20s. I was making millions of dollars in my 20s and I drove a $300 a month car. Why? Because I didn't need to impress anybody. I was thinking long term, thinking the future. So if you're in your 20s or your teens and you're watching this, don't get caught up in trying to outclass, and by class, I don't mean being classy. I'm talking about like outclass, like you be a high class and make your friends feel low class. Don't get caught up into that, okay? I had a car, it was a truck rather, that cost me $1,000. I drove that all the way up till I was 27 years old. $1,000. I was making $300,000 a year by the time I was 28 years old. And I'm driving a truck that literally cost me almost nothing to buy. Meanwhile, I had a friend who worked with me. He was making about $80,000 a year, and he bought a $500,000 house. I lived in a $110,000 house. He lived in a $500,000 house, had a $30,000 theater room inside this house with a big screen TV. Every room in the house had fancy furniture and art on the walls and all this shit. And when the market crashed, he just said, fuck it, filed bankruptcy and let all of his bills go. That dude couldn't buy a house again for 10 years. That dude couldn't get a credit card to save his life. That dude couldn't even rent an apartment. He had to have his mama rent an apartment for him at 30 years old. How embarrassing. Listen, I can't stress to you how important it is that you maintain your credit. And if you got bad credit right now, it's a real simple fix. You can hire someone to fix it for you, or you can just simply call your creditors up and tell them you want to pay them. Work out a payment plan. One time back in the day, I broke my hand really bad. I didn't have a whole bunch of money. And I still had to have my hand surgery done. It cost me about $10,000. They sent me a bill. I just called them up and I said, look, I don't have $10,000, but I can pay $200 a month until I can get this thing paid off. And if I have months where I make more money, I'll pay more money into it. And they said, we'll take whatever. And as long as you keep paying us, we won't put it on your credit. I said, perfect. That's what I was trying to get to in the first place. Creditors will work stuff out for you. They will work with you. They want their money back. Their whole model is getting the money back. But when you avoid them, just think about this. If you borrow $100 worth of cocaine from the dope man, right? Let's just get real. And the dope man calls you up and says, hey man, fuck's my $100, right? And you're like, I don't got it right now, but if you'll give me a few days or a few weeks, I'll pay you $25 today and $25 on Friday, another $25 next Wednesday, and then I get paid again on Friday, I'll drop the last $25 up to you. Dope man probably won't smoke your ass. He probably won't front you no more dope, but he won't smoke your ass. He'll work it out with you, right? But if the dope man calls you and you don't answer, and you owe him $100, and then you disappear on him, and then 2 months later, you just happen to be at the club and a dope man sees you, he gonna fuck you up, okay? Just like a duel at high noon, he gonna fuck you up. You have to treat the banks the same way. If you promise to pay them back and you don't pay them back, they're gonna fuck you up. The only difference is they may not shoot you or fight you or stab you. The difference is they're gonna fuck your credit up. And then all the banks aren't gonna give you any money. And here's the thing, just like the dope man, if you run from him, he's gonna tell all of his dope homeboys, hey, don't sell to this person. Okay, we gotta think of this in realistic terms here. But see, many of y'all, the economy's been roaring for the past 8 years and you've said, fuck it, I'm not paying my obligations despite making more money than I've ever made in my life. You know what that makes you? You ain't gonna wanna hear this, but it's the truth. And just because I'm saying it and you don't wanna hear it doesn't make it less true. It makes you a fucking deadbeat. Someone, a bank, a company, a car company, an installment loan company, a furniture company gave you money and you decided not to pay it back. That is the literal definition of a deadbeat. So here's the deal. No matter how old you are, it's time to be an adult. It's time to start paying your obligations. It's time to get your credit back in check. Because a lot of people, we're talking millions upon millions of people that could have gotten free money for the government in the Paycheck Protection Program did not get that free money from the government because they fucked their obligations up in the past. See, people thought, oh, well, the government's going to give me free money and my credit doesn't matter. And then the SBA went, you got to have good credit because we might want you to pay this money back. We haven't decided yet. And if you ain't got good credit, we can't trust you. And guess what? They missed out on tens of hundreds, maybe even millions of dollars because they had bad credit. And nothing's worse than a person that has a whole bunch of money in the bank and a booming business and shitty credit. I see it every day. You know, well, man, I make $1 million a year, but my credit's not so hot. What the fuck? How is that even a thing? Right? Like, you make money and you don't pay the money that you borrowed from places? Like, how is that even a thing? So listen, let's all be adults here and agree that it's time we got our credit fixed. Because Jay-Z once said it. You know what's better than spending money in a strip club? Credit. Right? When you got good credit, you can buy anything. When you got good credit, you can go to the bank and you can borrow money in tough times. When you got good credit and the government offers programs, you can get that cheap money from them. When you got good credit in a bad economy, you can still have borrowing power. Maybe not as much, but you can still have borrowing power. But let me tell you what, if you got bad credit in a bad economy, you're in bad shape. If you got bad credit and you fall on bad times, bad shit's gonna happen to you. But guess what? Nobody brought that on you but yourself. So I can't stress how important it is that you fix your credit situation if you got one. And listen, being a deadbeat and avoiding debt collectors has never paid off for anybody. Nobody's ever said, well, I avoided paying the banks off for the last 15 years of my life and suffered my credit. My life's never been better. Nobody's ever fucking said that. Instead, they say, man, shit, I've had bad credit for 15 years and I never paid my creditors off. I couldn't get a fucking car note to save my life. I'm telling you, pay your obligations. Look, and plus, money sitting in the bank, if you got money sitting in the bank and you're not paying your debt obligations off, that money sitting in the bank ain't doing you no good. Because once you spend it and you fall on bad times, it's gone. But guess what? If you got good credit and you pay your obligations off and you fall on hard times, you can always go back to those same places and borrow money from them because your credit is good. So whether you like this or not, you need to hit the thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. Let me know how you really feel. I'm willing to hear it, okay? The truth is, if you're mad, going to be big mad because you also ain't paying your big debt. There's only reason you would be mad at this video is if you're a deadbeat. And I don't give a fuck about your excuse. I've been divorced. I have been in prison. I have fallen on hard times, but my word and my balls are the only things that I got besides my credit score, which because I keep my words and I got big balls to take risks, my credit's always been good. And you have no excuse why yours shouldn't be either. And listen, here's a good general rule of thumb, and I'll end with this. If you can't afford it, don't fucking borrow it. Catch you on the next video.